Welcome to the Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs podcast, a place for podcasters to learn what's actually working in the world of podcasting and how to use their podcast to generate consistent leads in their business. I'm your host, Jenny, and I'm so excited you're here. Hey, Savvies, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. So in today's episode, we're going to be chatting about the importance of building an email list for your podcast. As I mentioned on the podcast a few times before, podcasting is sort of a one-way street if you don't take the time to direct your listeners elsewhere, like a Facebook group, to your Instagram DMs, to join your email list, etc. So having somewhere else you can direct your listeners to is key. So there are so many ways to build a community from your podcast, but today we're going to focus on the email list building route. So first up, I did want to share the benefits of having an email list for your podcast. So with your email list, you can alert your listeners when your new episodes are live, which is super handy. You can also actually have a conversation with your audience via email. It's not just you talking at them. They can actually respond and have a one-on-one conversation if they decide to do that. You can then share further offers with your listeners once they're on your list as well, which is really great because then you're able to figure out what they really like, dig into what they need from you better, and then be able to serve them better. Yeah, definitely a great thing to have. An email list is just a great way to further connect with your podcast listeners. The best way to get people to sign up for your email list is by sharing your free offers on the show. So think of things like checklist or blueprints or free master classes, webinars, that kind of thing. And what you'll do is really just talk about your relevant, that is a keyword, relevant, free offer during your episode. So in the middle of your episode, beginning, wherever you want to put that. And then you send them to a podcast specific URL that you mention on the show. So for example, I have my URL, which is savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com. I will send people to savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com/blueprint/masterclass/free /checklist. And this really helps for tracking purposes to be able to know that people are coming specifically from the podcast, because I do offer these freebies elsewhere on my website, not just on the podcast. So it's nice to know exactly where they're coming from to know if the podcast is converting people to email subscribers or not. And then from there, they will enter their name and their email address, and then they'll be officially on your email list, which is great because then you can communicate with them instead of just having a one-way conversation at them. So from here, you'll be able to further engage with them, not only about your new episodes, but also other happenings in your business. So once they're on your list, they are an engaged lead. So it's up for you to continue nurturing them and priming them to buy your upcoming offers, whatever those may be. You can start off with a welcome email. Once they get on your email list, most email providers have an automatic email feature where as soon as they sign up, they get an email. So this would be your welcome email, thanking them for signing up for whatever your freebie is, doing a quick little self-selecting survey so that you know what content they want to hear from you. So this is as simple as having them click a link and then it tagging the person if they click on it. So for example, I know mine says like, I already have a podcast, but I'm just getting started, or I want to start a podcast, or I've had a podcast for a while, but I need help with growth and monetization, things like that. So I know what stage in their journey that they're at. And that's really important. So whatever your podcast is about, figure out where people are on their journey. So for example, if you have a podcast for mompreneurs, you could have in your welcome email, like, I'm just starting my business. I've been in business for a while, or also like I've been in business for 10 plus years or something like that. Just having them self-select so you know what kinds of content is going to be relevant to them and what they want to hear from you. And then from there, they will be able to get customized content from you addressing their specific needs. So they are less likely to unsubscribe because they're getting content that meets them where they're at instead of being too advanced or too basic for them. So I want to know, do you currently have an email list that you use as a growth tool for your podcast? If so, or if not, and you're planning on starting one soon, I want to hear from you. So head to my Instagram, which is Jenny Suneson, so SUNESON, and send me a DM on Instagram. Let me know If you have one, if you're planning on starting one, I'd just love to hear from you. It's great to chat with you guys. And sometimes people listen to the show and they're very passive, which is totally fine. But it always makes a day when I know that people are here listening to the show. So if that's you, let me know on Instagram. And yeah, that is it for today's episode. If you want to check out the show notes, you can go to savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com. They're right there. And I will see you guys in the next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Stitcher, and leave a review. You can find us at savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com and on Facebook at Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs and Instagram at Savvy Podcasting. Make sure to join our free Facebook community for podcasters by going to savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com/community and join in on the exclusive community just for Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs listeners. I'll see you there.